Hello, hello again. Hello, Grace. Hello, Shil. Thank you for being here to mod. I did go a little later, so I truly appreciate you guys coming back. Hey, Rodin. Boy, what a day in true crime today there was. True Crime Tuesday, and man, was there a lot going on. A lot. We've got a preliminary hearing in the Veronica Butler, Kansas mom's case in Oklahoma. Uh, that was crazy. Remember the God's Misfit cult and those bunch of crazy evil people? Well, the preliminary hearing started, and boy, well, there's a lot about that, but we're not going to talk about it today. Today, we're going to concentrate on New York. There was a lot going on in New York. The Long Island serial killer, Rex Heuermann. There was a press release from DA Ray Tierney for an additional murder charge. Another body identified in DNA. We're going to get into that. He also had a hearing today in New York. New York courtrooms are closed, so there won't be any video on that one. But there was also an indictment out of New York from DA Alvin Braggs in regards to Luigi Mangione, who is the CEO, the United Healthcare CEO, alleged shooter of Brian Thompson. And so we're going to talk about that. And Mrs. Cassandra, I'm so glad you're here because we're going to talk about Shawn. Not Sean Combs, but Shawn Carter tonight, aka Jay-Z. And you might want to stick around for that one. I got a lot to say about what's been going on there because it's like right up my alley, so to speak. Not funny though, like funny, but not funny, if you know. So, out of the 3 New York cases, today, Tuesday nights, because I'm doing a little more video, we're going to like open it up for questions and answers and stuff. And it's a little more back and forth and informative about what's going on with the cases and things like that. I'll be dropping you some information, but I'm not really going to do a presentation. The presentation is just going to be a picture of whoever the heck we're talking about. And then I will, of course, give you some links and talk about stuff. And believe me, I've done all the research and I have the information for you. It's just going to be in a little different style. And this is the second time I'm doing it this way, trying to feel my way. So please give me some feedback, like, share, get on that comment section and tell me whatever you got to tell me. I can take it. Because if you don't like it this way, I really want to hear about it. Okay. And if you do like it, I want to hear about it too. I do apologize. I'm a little scratchy today. There was a lot of voice overdone with videos today for the releases that we did. Do I want to keep subs only on? Well, yeah, that just means subs for the chat, but I don't think I have it on. Do I have it on? I'm not sure. Is it on? It doesn't really matter either way. Hello, people over there in Twitch. Hello, Rocket Couch. Oh, thank you, Grace. Good job with the banner. There we go. Banner's on. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So it is on, Mrs. C? Okay. You can open it up if you'd like, Mrs. C. Go right ahead. Although I think that most of the people that come to me and watch me and want to talk to me would at least sub to the channel. You know what I mean? I mean, why they here if they don't want to give me a sub? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But either way, it doesn't matter. But if you want to exercise that wrench and work yourself around there, go right ahead. You could practice putting it on and off. All right. I'm a little punchy today because I'm tired. So excuse the inappropriate giggles here and there as we go on. I'm sure there'll be plenty. Yeah, I have been putting it on subscribers only for a little while now, based on the channel growing and wanting to keep the people out who don't really want to be here and support. And I came to I wanted to keep the chat open, but I also wanted to make sure that the people that were here chatting about the true crime and about issues and stuff that we talk about, that it was a comfortable, safe place for them too. That the people that were here really wanted to be here, and we didn't get those random drive-by, problems, so to speak. Rocket Couch says, "Oh, I was thinking about last time with the bot. If you need, I can help as a mod here." That would be great, Rocket Couch. Let me pull up Twitch once I get started. Let me just pull up Twitch right now and do that before I get started. Let me see if I can do it just right from the chat like you can in YouTube. Because if so, where's my channel? There we go. I don't even have my own channel up. Can I make you a mod? How do I make you a mod? Oh gosh, I have to find out how to make you a mod. I will, and then I will actually when I can. I don't know how to do it. I'll have to ask Wrecker or somebody with the channel to make you a mod. I'm looking to see. It says whisper, follow. No. Oh, I got it. I did it. I think you've been officially modded. Let's just send me another message and see if it worked. You have to want it really bad, then the mod would. Okay, I get you, Juju. Hopefully he wants it really bad. Hopefully he does, because he just got modded. Like, there you go, Couch. I'm honored to have you as my first ever Twitch mod. Do you can you see all your little things? Yeah. Thanks for joining over there, Shill. Yeah. Thanks, Couch. I really appreciate it. I think Couch might time himself out on Twitch. I'm not sure. I think he can. I don't know if he can or not, Jin, but that would be pretty funny. Don't you think? Yeah. I don't really think I need a lot of mods over there, but we do get bodied on Twitch with those people that try to sell you clicks and views and PR. And by the way, Couch, if anybody tries to sell you art, just ban them right away. I'm not gonna play with them like Ricker does. Just like get rid of them. Like yep. It is something new to test. Thanks, Couch. I really appreciate it. All right, so we've got 3 to talk about tonight. And I'd like to know which one you guys want to talk about first. So let's just pull up. Oh, I don't like that one. I don't like this one at all. Where's the one I like? Oh, there, that one. I like that one better. Okay. So we've got the 3 here. We got Luigi Mangione. We've got Shawn Carter, aka Jay-Z. And we've got Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer. Now, who do you want to start with? Okay, don't be shy. Just mention any single one. They're all from New York. They're all allegedly very, very bad people. Listen, you know what, Rody? That's the kind of message that's going to get. I'll show you, like as an example, people. That's the kind of message that's going to definitely get banned on Twitch. And you know what, Rody? We're going to give you a warning this time, but you're pretty much almost got that one like deleted. Yep. Okay. Shawn and Rex. I've got one. Somebody break the tie. Like I need a second. It's good to grow up your Jinxu. I pick C. What did I say? C. Oh, I said Harriman was this third one, which would be C. Rex it is. Okay. We're going to start with Rex Heuermann. There we go. Now, first of all, I just want to say he's not like looking so good in jail. He's gained a lot of weight. He's very prominent in the front. He looks a little older than he did. Like he looks stressed. And I can imagine being in jail will do that to a person. Hey, Charlie Hobo, good to see you. Yeah, we definitely, Charlie Hobo, we've got three like not so nice guys, but you're gonna be surprised what I have to say about Jay-Z. Actually, I don't think you're gonna be surprised what I have to say about Jay-Z, because most of you know me pretty well. So anyway, let's start with Heuermann. Okay. Let me just get up what I have on Heuermann here. Okay. Now, for those of you that may not be as familiar, because we've been following this for a while and there really hasn't been a lot going on. But anyway, Rex Heuermann is a 60-year-old architect from Massapequa Park, Long Island, and he's been charged with the murders now, as of today, of 7 women, known as the Gilgo Beach serial killings or the Long Island serial killer LISK, L-I-S-K. Now, Rex Heuermann didn't get charged with all of them up front. There was 3, and then 1, and then in June another 2, and then today he got charged with the murder of Valerie Mack. Now, as these bodies got identified, as they processed them for DNA, the charges kept coming through. But today he finally was charged with the first degree murder. I believe it's the first degree murder of Valerie Mack, who was a sex worker who disappeared in the 2000s. And they found her dismembered remains in 2000 and in 2011 because she was all dismembered, and they found the first part in 2000 and the rest of it later on. She was identified through genetic testing in 2020. It took quite a while. Okay. Hair evidence was disclosed today in the indictment that linked Rex Heuermann to Valerie Mack and linked it in the same way as some of the other bodies in murders in evidence with hair, DNA from hair from the wife and the daughter. The daughter specifically was mentioned today. Now, also, what was mentioned today was the discovery of a planning document. Investigators discovered a detailed document in Heuermann's house, and they described it today in the press conference they did, that it outlined methods for committing these murders, including measures to avoid detection and what kind of supplies he used and things like that. It also showed that Rex Heuermann, who allegedly is the author of this planning document, actually was very meticulous in his planning, detailed, showed a lot of premeditation. That's important for charging in New York because everyone's going to come with a life sentence. Now, they don't have the death penalty in New York, which I just researched earlier today, because they said it was not constitutional, something with the state constitution, blah, 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 blah. They removed it quite a few years back. I think it was 2004. But now they can do life sentence with no parole, which means forget it. Don't talk to us about it. We're not conducting parole hearings. We're not doing anything. Like you're in, you're miserable. That's it. Like you're done. You're not getting out. Also, they released today information about violent pornographic content. We've talked about this before, the types of things that Rex Heuermann was searching on his internet. And when they did the search on his house in Staten Island and they got all of the devices, I mean, they found a lot. They really found a lot. But what I learned today that made it very interesting about this case, not only because it's a serial killer case and multiple murders and finally discovering who was responsible for all of these bodies that were on that strip in Staten Island, that marshy piece of land off the side of the road that appeared to be a grave site, a dumping zone for bodies. that bad things have happened to. And it always was a sex worker or someone that couldn't be identified or some they didn't notice was missing for a while. Now, most of the victims in the LISK case have people looking for them, had been reported missing. Okay. Well, Rex Harriman hooked up with them through some type of sexual liaison arrangement. Okay. Either through like a Tinder type app, a dating app, or a hired app through the ads, the classified ads, for sex. Um, these were at risk females. Okay. They still have not identified the young man's or who has killed him, that he was identified, and we're not sure if it's related. There's also a child and a couple of other bodies that still have not been actually tied into Rex Harriman specifically, but they're all tied in to that dumping ground, so to speak. I hate to call it that because I want to be more respectful to the victims in this case. I mean, to say it's a dumping ground is like they would just toss, but in reality, that's exactly what he did. He wrapped them in burlap, he tossed them away, he dismembered them, he did whatever he could so they could not be identified. Now, in the court appearance today, he was there with his attorney. It was a regular scheduled status conference, and he actually pled not guilty to this charge. And he told the judge verbally that he did not do this, which was met by the family of Valerie Mack, who was there for this actual reading of the charge in the courtroom for his hearing today, scoffing and loud uttering like, yeah, right, so to speak. It didn't go well. It was a little contentious there. But I'm glad that they got to voice something. Victims' families don't always get to do that. But they got to witness him plead not guilty, and they just don't believe it. And I feel for them. But I'm also feel that they must feel a little bit of relief that the case is finally moving forward with someone being held accountable for the loss of Valerie Mack. Okay. Now, this whole case right now against Rex Harriman, his attorneys are going to be attacking it based on the DNA. Specifically, today's type of DNA that was announced was singled to the daughter Victoria's hair. It's a new way of testing, and it's never been brought to court in New York before. Yep, here we go. This case, Rex Harriman, the LISK, Long Island serial killer, is going to be groundbreaking for precedent in DNA evidence in the state of New York, Suffolk County to be specific. And Ray Tierney said it's a long, tedious act. Ray Tierney being the district attorney for Suffolk County, who is the one who did the press release today in regards to the charges. He tried to lay it out that he's very confident that the technology and the methods are going to pass muster. But he looks forward to the motions back and forth in the challenges from the defense attorneys in regards to this. Now, Michael Brown is Rex Harriman's defense attorney of record. He is pretty diligent, and he's already started attacking the evidence the best he could. And he's going to be focusing on the DNA, specifically because the DNA all leads to family members. Because Rex Harriman wasn't sloppy about his own fingerprints and stuff, but he did take things from the house that were contaminated with family members' DNA, which led them to the house, which led them to Rex. And unfortunately for Rex, he did all of this while his family was away. So they have an alibi. He's the last man standing. He's the one capable, and they did have plenty of other things to link him to it, like his text messaging of the victims, the actual contact with them. He had several cell phones, and one of them actually had pictures of him taking pictures of himself for his dating app accounts and how he met people. And you remember way back that they caught him with DNA from a pizza crust left outside that he had dropped outside his office. Yes, they did. Pizza did him in. So today we now have seven women that he is charged allegedly with murder. Now, let's go through let me just see for questions first before I go first. Curses to you, DNA. I know, but isn't it fascinating that we're going to be doing this single cell DNA testing in New York now? It's great. Do I know if other states have used this DNA testing successfully? I don't, because I just found out about that in the press hearing earlier this afternoon, and there was another indictment that I had to record. But you can bet your bottom, Charlie Hobo, I will know by the next time we speak about Rex Heuermann and this DNA. I will tell you every state that's using it or not. Okay, I'll be on it. Don't worry. Oh, I'm sorry you're having issues with YouTube. I know, Mrs. Cassandra, when that family started going hissing at him, it was order, order in the court. But you know what? I mean, you could only do so much order in the court when you've got like 7 alleged victims. You got the family of the newest ones there. Like everybody's going to be tense. I feel for the family. Well, I'm glad they got to be there and they didn't get told to leave. Pizza really is real crime fighting MVP. Yes, yay, pizza. Wear that cloak. Yes. Isn't pizza what did Tate in? Although that's the rumor, but it wasn't actually true. But it did make for a funny meme. And it sure did get that young lady popular for a while, didn't it? But they were well on the way to arrest him already. Anyway, yeah, this is it. The pizza DNA did get Rex Heuermann. I know. So many women, right, Juju? Evil. Evil. Hey, KCA Randy. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Oh, the woman who started killing her clients. Who was that? It's like that was kind of like a Black Widow thing. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, she would actually make the dates. She was an escort, Mrs. Cassandra. Is that the one you're talking about? I'll have to try to figure out that name for you. Is this the guy that was arrested last year? Yes, it was for the Gilgo Beach killings. Yes, for quite a few of them. We're going to go over the victims in which ones, what level of murder charge, because they all have different level of murder charges, you know. And as Mrs. Cassandra said, thank you very much. Excellent mod here. If you have a question, be sure to @Claire so that I see it. I'm trying to go through, but I get carried away and I don't want to miss anybody. So that would make it very helpful. Yep. They made it a movie. I'm trying to think. We're going to have to research that. That would be a nice back dive into something. You know, when things get a little less crazy on Tuesdays in true crime, because man, today was busy, busy, busy. Like really, like I've got enough from just today to keep me busy for like at least 2 weeks. Seriously. Was it The Client List? That novel? Isn't that a Grisham novel? We'll have to check that out. We'll have to check that out. All right. Let's talk about, before we move on to anyone else, I want to at least give the charges a good go over here and lay down the foundation. Okay. The first 3 victims that Rex Heuermann was charged for their murders. Well, number 1 was Melissa Barthelemy. Her body was found in July of 2009, and Heuermann was charged originally in July of 2023. The original arrest that Charlie Hobo, or actually Casey Randy was referring to, of last year. Now, for Melissa Barthelemy, he's charged with first-degree murder and second-degree murder. And then we have Megan Waterman. She was found December 2010. Heuermann was charged again July 2023 in the original indictment, also for first-degree murder and second-degree murder. Then we have the third one from that indictment, Amber Lynn Costello. Her body found December 2010. Heuermann again charged on July 2023, also for first-degree and second-degree murder. And then we have Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who was also found December 2010 with these bodies. These were the first 4 bodies linked together that had the same type of dismemberment. They were wrapped in the same burlap, same style. They all signified serial killer. There was enough there to link it all together to think they may have the same perpetrator involved. So now Maureen Brainerd Barnes was also found December 2010. Okay, but Heuermann was not charged until January of this year. Okay, and was charged with second-degree murder based on the evidence that I can see that was put out. Okay, and the reason of the delay was testing. They wanted to get these charges out as far, but they were waiting on certain testing. They had some non-conclusive stuff, condition of the body. They didn't have as much on this one, but they were finally able to put it through. Okay, now the second. Oh, the after that, after July 2023 and January 2024, in June of this year, there was actually the linking of Jessica Taylor, and her partial remains were initially found in Manaville, Long Island, not on the dump site in 2003. Okay, but then parts of her were also discovered in Gilgo Beach in 2011 because she was dismembered. And Heuermann was charged in second-degree murder for Taylor's death in June of 2024. And then we have number 6, Sandra Costilla. Now, Sandra Costilla's body was found in a wooded area of North Sea, Southampton, Long Island, way back in 1993. One of the oldest, okay, of the bodies that they were saying, and not found in Gilgo Beach area, in the dump area where most of them are. Okay, her death was not initially linked to these cases at all. After much investigation and further DNA testing and etc., Heuermann was charged with second-degree murder for Costilla's death in June of 2024, along with Jessica Taylor. Okay, now these are all alleged criminal activities, of course, that I'm speaking of, because Rex Heuermann has not been convicted at this time. But with 7 now, you know he is definitely going to trial. Now, Michael Brown, the defense attorney, well, he dropped a bomb in the hearing today. It was not really a big bomb, because there had been rumors about it. At least I heard them about a month ago. But he's going to file a motion to separate all the cases, or at least as many as he can, based on the timing and etc. in the evidence. He definitely going to try to separate them and really, like, because for a jury to hear about all 7 of them at once, well, that could be quite prejudicial, don't you think? I mean, you put the notion of a serial killer in the mind of the jury, that's prejudicial, right? I mean, come on. It takes a little, I mean, murder's wrong no matter what. It's horrible. We don't want to think about it in a positive light. But you add serial killer to murder, and you've got something that's exponentially a little bit greater and very prejudicial. So I can't blame them for trying that, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. Now, that's basically all I have on today. Oh, for Rex Heuermann, not for the whole day. Okay. Let me just. Remember, watching Claire on Twitch helps her. Oh, thank you very much, Rocket. It helps me get to the program, which will give me emojis and all that other stuff and channel points and things so that I can have some fun over there. Thank you for reminding everybody, Couch. I did put that up. I think that's great. Thank you. You're thinking affiliate is the same thing. Partner, affiliate, whatever, you know. Yep. Eileen Walmus. Yes, there you go. It wasn't she in law enforcement at one time? Yes, she was killing everybody she hooked up with. She was scary. She's a scary female serial killer. She was definitely a serial killer. You guys are right. Yep. Yep. Okay. So, all right, guys. If that's all your questions you have on Heuermann, and it was a very good question that Charles Ovo asked in regards to the DNA, and I'll get you the answer on that. But I'm fascinated. You know, we're going to be following this one, not only because it's a serial killer, but we're talking about groundbreaking precedent for DNA evidence. Now, we've got quite a few cases of that. I mentioned one here in New Jersey that I'm following, Paul Canero. The DNA testing was used by a company that designed the actual software that streams it in the computer system in New Zealand. It's the first time in New Jersey being used. This case is years old. The murder of the whole family and the burning down of their home and the thievery and everything. This is a case of one brother against another brother, pure jealousy, pure evil, really bad stuff. But it's from 2019. Here we are in 2024, just arguing down the street from me at the courthouse on whether or not they can use the DNA evidence because they've never heard of it. It blows my mind, okay? But it's also fascinating at the same time, you know. You know. No, no drones, no drones, Mrs. C. We're not talking about the drones today. The drones drive me crazy. Like, yeah. Hmm. All right. So, anyway, in regards to that, which one would you like to talk about next? You've got Jay Z or you got Luigi Mangione. And also, I have a few things to drop for you. Hold on. Let me just get over here. In regards to this, for those of you that want to read, they released the special indictment in the bail document in regards to the Valerie Mack charges that were done today in Rex Heuermann. Now, mostly criminal cases are sealed in New York. I can't get anything. So when they publicly release it, I want to give it to you. Just for those of you that are interested. And also, DA Ray Tierney did a press release. Okay, and here is a YouTube video to it. If you want to listen, he gave some very good information in regards to how they're linking this case. However, all of it's written in the document also. So you could pick your poison. You could read it or you could listen to it. I will say reading it, it's 25 pages. And there's a lot more information in there than he does talk about, although it does cover the gist. Although in the actual YouTube video, he does actually talk more about the type of testing. And that might interest you too. So there you go. I mean, eh. Okay, so now we have to vote Jay Z, Shawn Carter, or the CEO, the United Healthcare CEO shooter, allegedly, Luigi Mangione. Oh, okay, Grace. Grace was first. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, Grace and Shawn. Good. Like they're both the same person. So let's do that next. Okay. I have been wanting to do this one. Okay. All right. Oh, I don't like that one. This one? No. No, this one. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. So Shawn Carter, aka Jay Z. Now, those of you that are following Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Doug Diddler, Sean Combs cases, you know I'm following the criminal case, which you may be familiar with a lot of the civil cases. I mean, how can you not? It's everywhere. It is saturated It's saturated everywhere, including Pacer. When I search to try to get the criminal documents, I have to go through 74 civil cases against Shawn Combs for sex trafficking violations, violence in non-consensual sexual content of some nature. Men, women, children, blah. We know about Tony Busby and his associates coming out and bringing forward civil cases against Shawn Combs, in light of the criminal case in the civil case that Cassie Ventura had filed way back for a day and then removed it. Okay. Well, since then, it's everywhere. And I'm sure you've been saturated. But in October, a Jane Doe filed a lawsuit against Shawn Combs, listing Celebrity A and Celebrity B as co-conspirators in this, and said that she was 13 years old at the time that it happened. Now, how does Jay-Z get involved in that? Well, it wasn't easy. First, Tony Busby sent a letter to the people that he was going to be, as he does. He says he sends it standardly as a regular lawyer's letter, which is not uncommon in civil cases, to say, hey, we're going to be naming you in a case. We would be open to mediation, contact us, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't mention money. It doesn't mention this, that, or the other thing. Now, that could be standard if there weren't other situations involved. Namely, you've already got all of these cases against a very high profile case, and now you're sending letters to people that you may won't have not released their names, but you would. And all of these people are celebrities or could lose in some situation through the PR alone. Okay. So when Tony Busby, who says he's an advocate for the victims and he's bringing all these civil suits, and he's done some good work in the past. I mean, he and the other gentleman, when they went against the Boy Scouts of America for people that didn't have a voice, and actually, here we thought this was this great organization going on here, and there's all this nasty stuff going on over there. They're showing a light on it. Okay. And they got some resolution for those boys that were involved. I get that. There can be some good. But this thing with Jay-Z, this is just hitting me the wrong way. So I hope that you guys will give me a little grace while I expand on how I got there. Because the fact is, when he sends a letter like this to a prominent celebrity like Jay-Z, it's not like a regular letter saying, hey, we might name you. It's like, hey, get into mediation or we're going to name you. Because you're a big celebrity, and us putting your name out, whether it's true or not, is going to ruin you. Now, anybody that doesn't see that connection, well, we're avoiding some facts. It doesn't matter that I think that Jay-Z may not be a pillar of exemplary human behavior on any standard. I'm from the East Coast. There's rumors about Jay-Z that go everywhere. Just basically that he's not a good guy. And in business, he could be a brute. And he'd slit your throat rather than lose $1. But that doesn't mean it involves a 13-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he's a great guy. But I'm saying you really don't get to put these people up against a wall with no choice. Because just mentioning his name in association with this case, as he clearly stated in his response to the letter, which, well, I'll probably just... Anyway, he made some very good points in the letter. That he put out a statement after receiving this letter. First, though, he did do something kind of gangster, kind of Jay-Z style, kind of like firming up a lot of the rumors you hear about him. He tried to sue Tony Busby anonymously as a John Doe, saying he was intimidating him and trying to blackmail him. Okay. So, first of all, I get why he did it as a John Doe, because under the advice of his lawyers, he's like, well, if you don't want your name involved with this case, then don't put your name on the filing that goes against the lawyer that's pushing you on this case. I could see why he followed his lawyer's advice on that, because the tone of his statement, which I'm sure you all have seen, and I will be putting up a little video about later with actually the visuals on it. But basically it was like, That's horrible. A 13-year-old? Oh my God, press criminal charges. Anybody involved with that should be in jail, period. And by the way, you mentioning my name is trying to ruin my life professionally, personally. I have children that I'm going to, of an age, that are going to see social media, that I have to explain how people like you come out of the woodwork to ruin all our lives for greed. Point made, Jay-Z. One for Jay-Z. All right. Now, Tony Busby first came back and said, "Oh, Jay-Z tried to sue me. What? Well, why did he try to sue me first if he's so innocent and this and that? And he didn't want to get into negotiations. Why should he? He's innocent. You really wanted money for him to hush up the case, okay? Well, here's the thing about that case. Number one, Jay-Z's attorney, Shawn Carter's attorney, is Alex Spiro. You may remember me speaking about Alex Spiro before. Now, Alex Spiro is a defense attorney for hire for big bucks to celebrities with big problems. Alec Baldwin, case dismissed. Okay. Mr. Beast, they did the investigation into all the charges. They didn't find nothing here. Okay. Alex Spiro is part of that law firm that, well, it's like you hired the fixer. But Alex Spiro is a brilliant attorney, and he's sharp, and he wastes no time. And I'll tell you the kind of thing that supports my opinion on that. Recently, the Jane Doe, the alleged victim in this filing against Jay-Z that they refiled from October on Sean Combs, named Jay-Z after he wouldn't negotiate, filed on him in December, naming him, and also Celebrity B as the woman involved in the incident. Basically, this Jane Doe is accusing Sean Combs and Shawn Carter of violating her without consent while one or the other watched with Celebrity B, the woman, in a private home after the VMA Awards in 2000. Now, there's a lot to be said about this case, and I'm going to go through some of the particulars. Okay, I've read it all, and I'm just winging it here because this is the Q&A. So I'm not going to be showing you all the documents and doing all of that, but basically these are the facts. Recently, Jane Doe, under anonymity, did an interview with NBC. And Alex Spiro, very good attorney, very sharp, very quick, shark-like, smelled blood in the water. And there was blood. Let me explain. In the filing, Jane Doe's story is that she climbed out of her bedroom window to go to the VMAs 5 hours away. At 13 years old, she got a ride. The person who gave her the ride is no longer alive and cannot testify. She got to the VMA parking lot. Well, she didn't have a ticket. She says she couldn't get in, so she caroused the parking lot until she ran into Sean Combs' limo driver, and he said, "You look like Sean's type," or something of that nature. She then says she hung around and watched the VMA Awards on the teleprompter, like on a big turn trump, the big, wow, gosh, I can't think of the name of it now. The big thing out there in New York City that they put up to watch some of the special shows. This was 2000 VMAs. Okay. I got to remind you that Eminem was there and there was a lot of security. Just want to remind you of that. She says that she was at, the Jumbotron. Thank you, Grace. Excellent. The Jumbotron. That's exactly what they call it. She says she watched the awards on the Jumbotron, then met up with the limo driver again, and he drove her back to a post-awards party at a big white house at a certain address that was Sean Combs and Shawn Carter were there partying. She then goes into details of the event, which I'm not going to go to. It's public record. Okay. I will link the civil suit case number and all from, down below in the description when I'm done. In for those of you, I'm not following in detail all of the civil cases. This one got me because of Alex Spiro. Anyway, she's on the interview after telling the story. Anyway, she says that the event happens in that, they took turns, and then Shawn Combs went to do something to her, but she kicked him off and naked left the party where all these people are, okay, and went to a gas station naked, called her father, and her father came and picked her up, and she went home. Now, fast forward to the interview from the other night. We can't see her. She's all in shade. You can hear her voice. But here's the problems with some of the things that she has said in this statement to an attorney, Tony Busby, who, well, Mr. Spiro had a lot to say. He really did. Well, first, I want to say that in 2000 at the VMA Awards, there's no way anybody could have been walking around the limo parking lot because Eminem was there. There was some actual harassment things going on in charges, and the whole area was cordoned off. Number one. Number two, at the 2000 VMA Awards, there was no Jumbotron. Period. None. Nope. But before we even get to the VMAs, if she got to the VMAs at around like 8, whatever, and she's going around the parking lot, she would have had to leave her house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because it's 5 hours away. Well, she says she left at night. 5 hours away from home. That's right, Mrs. Cassandra. You've been reading. Yeah. Mhm. And I don't like to doubt victims. I think something happened, but I think all her details on it are wrong. And that presents a problem legally. Okay. All right. Let's get back to where it happened. The location she says it happened doesn't exist. And there's documented proof from Alex Spiro, who says that he can prove that Shawn Combs and Shawn Carter were at another hotel for an after party that multiple witnesses can attest to, plus public video, photos, and everything else that can document where they were at the time of the alleged offense. The other thing is she actually mentioned the name of Benji Madden and actually said that they talked about tattoos and all. Unfortunately, the night that she said it happened of the 2000 VNMs, he wasn't even in the country. I mean, I doubt very much he got on a plane to fly back to go to a P. Diddy party. I mean, like he's a little rough and tumble, but like, what? I don't think so. And neither does Alex Spiro. Okay. And about the father, very good question, Mrs. Cassandra. The father doesn't remember his daughter calling naked from a phone about an attack, very upset, and driving her home. And the father says, I think I would remember if I had to drive 5 hours to go pick her up somewhere. I think I would remember that. Yeah. NBC actually asked him, and that's what he said. You see, there's a lot of problems here. Now, I do feel for this Jane Doe. I do. Because she did sound very confused and rattled as if something really did happen. And I think something has happened to her. I really do. I don't doubt that. But she also says she has memory issues. She is on the autism spectrum from her own words. Okay. That doesn't mean anything in general, except for the fact that I don't know if she understands that when you tell somebody something happens at this address, that they actually think it happened at that address. Like, I think she knows that, you know. Listen, I think maybe something happened to her. But the fact that she says she recognized all 3 celebrities as soon as she mentioned them, and she's making conversations up word for word that she had with Benji Madden, who wasn't even in the country. I think whatever happened to her got all mixed up. Well, that's not even the point of the story. Because the problem here is not Jane Doe. No, that's not what I'm upset. That's not what really bugs me. Can you guys get a little notion on what really bothers me about that? It might have something to do with an attorney as big and famous as Tony Busby, who filed a lawsuit about a very famous person who he knows is going to ruin their career and didn't vet any of the facts. There's so much garbage in there that it's actually against the law. That, to me, is a violation of your oath. That, to me, is a violation of everything the justice system is about. And that can actually jeopardize all the other cases. Do you see where I'm going? Legitimate victims, victims with documented and vetted cases, are going to be put through the ringer because of this. Because Alex Spiro is a genius attorney and knows what he's doing. And he just threw a monkey wrench into it. Doesn't matter how many cases Tony Busby brings now, they're going to have a huge mountain to climb. If everything that I just told you about that victim's statements didn't give you reasonable doubt, I don't know what reasonable doubt is. There's so much reasonable doubt there. We could build a mountain and call it doubt. And it's not very reasonable. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to have post-traumatic stress disorder and to be confused about what happened to you, especially when it's such a traumatic event. That's all okay. The problem's not Jane Doe. The problem is the people she trusts to handle it for her fell down on the job. Put her at risk. Her reputation's crap right now. Who could believe her? How much more damage is she supposed to suffer? And she went to Mr. Busby to take care of it. Smells like snake to me. It smells like the worst type of attorneys you could possibly think. So when Jay-Z called him an ambulance chaser, I was like, hell to the yeah. Smells like it to me. Walk like a duck, quack like a duck. Must be a duck. Seriously. It was very disappointing. Because I want there to be attorneys that are victim advocates that take these horrible cases and bring people with more power down when they are taking advantage of others. Of course, we all want that. We all want to champion the underdog. We want somebody to actually, pick up that sword and fight for them. Exactly. Well, that's possibility. Maybe dad has been threatened or paid off. The point is, the case wasn't vetted. Do you see what I mean? I'm not saying Jay-Z is right. I don't really think he's, very right. That's all I'm going to say, because what else is there to say? He handles things very gangster. Not always the best for everybody. But on this point, his attorney is right. Because there's a Rule 11 in New York where you need to vet a case. That when a lawyer signs a document to a court to say these are the facts of the case, that they have taken due diligence to actually vet that case, to check it, what their plaintiff is saying. He had an obligation. Now he's trying to poo-poo it off that he got the case from someone else and that it was vetted through them. But he's the one who signed it in New York. And here's the other thing. Alex Spiro wrote a letter to the judge laying all this out, all of it. It actually even went into the Rule 11 stuff and said, it's his responsibility. We want this case tossed, dismissed. It's non-viable. He failed in his obligation. And oh, by the way, Judge, he's trying to do a workaround on the New York law for Rule 11 because he's not even registered here to practice law. He's using other attorney, but he signed the complaint. And that might have been a mistake. And you might have noticed that he's not on Twitter anymore yelling at Jay-Z or talking about the case right now, because I do think he got caught in a oops, and it's a big one. And unfortunately, for the rest of the civil cases, it's going to make it a little harder. It's going to put all of that down. Yup. The duck is back. The duck is angry. The duck doesn't like it when lawyers play fishy. No. Hey, Charla. It's important to remember that because one person might have lied about an event doesn't mean the event hasn't happened to someone else. If she's making her story up, someone else could still be true. Exactly. And actually I don't even go so far as to say she's making it up. I think the details are all a mess. I think she did go through a traumatic event. I'm just not sure what it was. I just know she didn't. It's very unlikely she spoke with Benji Madden. It's very unlikely the event happened in the house that doesn't exist. It's very unlikely that she watched a jumbotron that didn't exist. It's very unlikely that she stood naked in a phone booth waiting 5 hours for her father to come get her, and he doesn't remember finding an upset 13-year-old in the middle of the night who'd just been traumatized and called for his help. These are all very unlikely. I'm just saying. Yep, something was walking and quacking like a duck, and it's clearly a duck, and that duck would be Tony Busby. I feel like he has some blame here. I feel he was obligated to vet this story and protect his client. Yes, I said protect his client. That's his job. He should have vetted her. Seriously. He should have been advising her about this NBC interview. He could have been there to help her. Now, there wouldn't have been a attorney-client privilege because, of course, the interviewer would have been there. But he could have guided her and he could have helped her. Okay? And I'm not saying he should have told her to lie. I'm glad she was honest about everything. I hope that helps her with her healing. But now I feel that she's going to take the brunt of this, and it's not her fault. I blame the attorney. And I'm not saying Jay-Z is right, but I say he did damn right by hiring Alex Spiro. Because again, that man, he's knocked my socks off with his legal quickness, going right to the heart of the matter, and dismembering a case and shredding it right before the plaintiff's eyes. Because I can't imagine a judge is going to let this go through against Shawn Carter. Now, that doesn't say anything about what's going to happen to Sean Combs in regards to the matter. He doesn't have Alex Spiro as an attorney. As a matter of fact, he has to worry about Alex Spiro because Tupac's family hired Alex Spiro to check into whether P. Diddy's involved in his murder. I'd be worried about that, P. Diddy, because Alex Spiro is sharp. And if there's anything out there to find, he, his team, his law firm, the investigators, they're going to find it. Anyway, I'll take questions on this now that I'm done my soapbox on Jay-Z. Not that I think he's innocent, but on this, his attorney's damn correct. Like, really correct. Legally perfection. And wow, Tony Busby kind of disappeared a little bit from the social light, and he was trying. There's no doubt that Tony Busby is trying to actually try these civil cases in the court of public opinion on the social platforms. I'm sure you all see it. Exactly. That's why we don't know anything until it's proven. And it's so easy to ruin the career of a high profile person with the mention. And this was the mention of a 13-year-old. I mean, this was like the most heinous of the acts. Okay. Just even the whiff that you're involved in it can ruin lives. It was irresponsible. dangerous, unethical, unprofessional. Add all the adjectives you want. I guess you could tell I'm seriously disappointed in Mr. Busby because he's done great damage now to the rest of the cases in the whole legitimacy of what he was trying to do. If they did have a good notion in what he was trying to do, it is severely tainted by his filing, his unvented civil case filing against Shawn Carter. Maybe he did it all to get the diddler's charges down. It won't affect the diddler's charges at all. It will just. Alex Spiro is only advocating for Shawn Carter, Jay-Z. Only that part. He will have him stricken from it. And they will refile against Sean Combs if they want. But I guess they better vet the facts again. You know, if they vet the facts and come up with a different story with vetted facts that can't be pushed against, and they can prove to the judge it's a legitimate case, maybe it will stay. But as it stands right now, from what I read, it's done. That case is tossed. It's got no ground to stand on, and Tony Busby needs to worry about sanctions. Although it's really hard for a judge to sanction a lawyer if they're not from New York. And they're not supposed to practice in New York. And that's another thing. Did he know? Why did he do the go around? Why did they file in New York? Why did they pick an address that didn't exist? I don't know. But it did seem really shady. And it just, I can't say for sure, but it did make me have a lot of doubt in the motives, in the agenda of a lot of these cases. And that, Mrs. Cassandra, is why I don't like to follow the civil cases. Okay. You see what I mean? In a criminal case, you read black and white, you know, and you know what's up. And it still gets contentious, and you still have to go back and forth on what you believe or not. But you don't get to play these kind of games, you know? What? You can't hear me? Juju hears me. Grace hears me. Oh, okay. Oh, so we didn't lose the bear. We lost Mrs. C. Okay. All right. So any questions? And then we're going to move on to Mr. Mangione, I think. And I'm not even covering this one. Oh, you can hear me on way over there on Twitch. Thank you, Couch. Thank you. I feel so much safer now that you're over there, Couch, like watching the chat. Like, I'm sorry you're by yourself over there. Hopefully sooner or later we'll get some more people over there to keep you company. But go ahead and ban those bots. Like, take care of business. I hope they keep you busy, you know. Yeah, I can't imagine why somebody would put their career and their reputation at risk this way. You do get your own room to yourself, right? You don't even have to like clean up. Nobody's there to tell you nothing. You can, put your feet up on the table. You can play that game with tossing popcorn up in the air and trying to catch it and not worry about where it goes. That's kind of cool. Anyway, thank you for the patience in letting me get all that out. I've been sitting on that for a couple of days, and those people around me that have watched me boil over a few times are grateful for your patience and your tolerance while I got on my soapbox and did that whole bear rant thing, because this was important. This is important for victims. This is important for people who want to file civil suits. They can't in a criminal case, okay? And I fail to realize when, like, it's a 13-year-old. There are so many exceptions to the statutes, especially in New York. Why didn't they try to do that first? You know? I mean, she was 13 years old. Whatever happened to her should not have happened to her. You don't want her to get justice. But it looks like for this particular case against Shawn Carter, it ain't going to happen. Not with Alex Spiro looking at it with a magnifying glass. It's not going to happen. unless they can prove that that house really exists and come up with some other evidence that those parties were there and that Benji, that she just misspoke. Benji, mad at you, like maybe there's somebody looks like him. Maybe somebody said he was him and she didn't really know. Like, unless something else comes forward to prove some of her statements, this looks really, really bad. And I don't want to take away that little glimmer of hope that there is stuff to prove that all of this might be true anyway and to vindicate her in her words in her story. But I have my doubts, and my doubts come directly from Jane Doe. She said in the interview that she got all of the things wrong, that her memory was fudgy and she not really good with stuff like that. And I'm wondering, did she tell her attorney that too? And why didn't he double vet her? And why are people just trying to make money off her instead of really helping her? Because that's what really pisses me off. Not only the bad manners and the legal shenanigans that should never happen, and that's just wrong. And I hope he gets smacked really hard for that filing, because that's just a waste of the judge's time and everybody else, and to purposely go after a celebrity. You don't have to like celebrities. You can be, we can think that they can take it because they got the money and they got this and they got that, but they're humans. There are people with families and loved ones. Jay-Z has a wife and children, and we don't have to like it. But we do have to be responsible for our actions. And Tony Busby just doesn't get to put a target on somebody's back to be a winner. Not without vetting his case, which is his prima facie first responsibility in the letter of the law. Let's not forget that. That was his responsibility. And I want to hear what he has to say about that. I want his answer to that. But instead of answering to that, he left. He's no longer posting on Twitter all this stuff about Jay-Z and everybody else in power taking on the little people. Nope. He left. He's not there. He didn't delete his account or anything. He's just silent. He's so silent it echoes. So I wonder how many of you want to hear that too. I want his answer. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I'll let you know when he does. In the meantime, shall we move on? Y'all still with me? Need to run for the hills? Let me see what I have on Jay-Z. For Jay-Z, I did copy an article for you that details where Alex Spiro was coming from. And here, well, I could give you all the details on Rule 11 and stuff like that, but basically, Alex Spiro coming off and saying that Mr. Busby filed this document trying to avoid Rule 11 in associated obligations by declining to sign the pleadings and other documents because he's not licensed to practice law in New York, because he hasn't even thought to, or let alone try to obtain permission pro hac vice. 8 weeks since his initial proceedings in October. Alex Spiro makes a valid point. It looks damn shady. It really does. But anyway, for those of you that are members of the Discord, Alex Spiro's letter is actually to the judge is in there. It's in pieces. I'm trying to find it in a PDF filing, and I will make a link, and I will actually add it to the description of this video for you guys. Now, oh yeah. One moment, I need to take a sip of something. pop-up ads when you post comments? Why would that happen? I never seen that. And I would actually ask YouTube about it. If you're able to screenshot, would you send it to me somehow, Grace? Because I want to ask them why that's happening. I don't want that to happen to anybody in the chat, you know? Carry on, my wayward son. Are you singing Kingses to me there, Juju? Please sing away. Yep. Carrying on then. Thank you, Grace. You have certain channels where you can't see all the messages. Okay, before we move on to Luigi Mangione, let me just tell you about something that's been happening in YouTube for at least 9 to 10 months, randomly to certain people at certain times. Kind of bizarre. You just can't get your cursor into the comment section to actually leave a comment. But if you copy and paste one from somewhere else and put it in there, it shows up. That is bizarre. That happened to me for 2 days in a row, and it got fixed after I yelled a lot yesterday. I mean, actually this morning. I don't know if the yelling had anything to do with it, but it did just randomly disappear. So I researched the problem, and I saw way back on a Reddit 9 months ago it was happening throughout YouTube, various channels, various accounts, and then just randomly fixed itself after a couple of days. Now, I myself went and checked with YouTube to make sure nobody was messing with my account, that somebody didn't think I made like a really horrible comment somewhere, so they restricted me, and everything was fine. And they told me it was my computer. So then I went through my computer and tried to fix all that, and there wasn't anything there. And then it just fixed itself. So I'm thinking the pop-up ads might be something like that, but I don't know. But I definitely want to check it out because like weird things are happening on YouTube all over. So if you can't comment, don't think you're banned or blocked. Contact the channel owner. I know people that haven't been able to comment on my YouTube stuff. I have actually told them they're not blocked. I know who I blocked. I blocked a bunch of bots, and there's a very small selection of people that are blocked on the channel from commenting. So just if you can't comment, don't assume that you're blocked, especially if you just contact the content creator if you want to, or just wait a day or two. Some of them said to refresh your browsers to make sure you clean out your cache or your browser history and then try again. It is definitely something between the browser and YouTube is where most of the information from Reddit was coming from. Well, that's all I have on it. Okay. Luigi Mangione. Now, this is United Healthcare CEO, alleged shooter of Brian Thompson in the beginning of December. We talked about Luigi before. He seemed to be well-educated, comes from a well-to-do family. He was in Hawaii. He had a good job, and he traveled here and shot in broad daylight on a very busy street Brian Thompson, allegedly on the way to a meeting. Okay. Now, then he left the area and there was a manhunt for him. It took a couple of days. He was recently arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania, at a McDonald's when he was recognized by a worker. And between the manager and the worker and someone else, they called 911 and the police and the tip hotline. And I don't know who's going to get the tip money, but unless they called the tip hotline specifically, they probably won't get it. But he was arrested. When he was arrested, he was found with a backpack that was waterproofed in also a Faraday bag, which you could put electronics in so that they can't be erased or changed erroneously. Now, granted, Luigi Mangione is an avid hiker, or he was before his back injury surfing in Hawaii and needed major surgery. And he's had some pain and issues since then. Now, that Faraday bag, he says, well, it's waterproof. They also said they found $8,000 American and $2,000 foreign on him, which at his arraignment in Pennsylvania, he clearly said, I don't know what they're talking about that money. I think they planted it or something of that nature. He's not claiming it. Okay. He doesn't want like criminal intent or criminal sophistication attached to him like he was going to flee. He did have his passport with him, but he was in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Okay. But the problem is he also had fake IDs, the same fake ID he registered in New York on the hostel under, under a fake name. And so, he's got a lot of charges in Pennsylvania to deal with. And he has a lawyer, Mark Anglaferia, that he actually, no, he doesn't. It's Mr. Dickey in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. Mark Anglafaro is P. Diddy's attorney. And the reason I'm confused with the name is because Luigi Mangione just hired his wife, Karen, who's a very well versed was a public defender, DA in New York. It's his wife, and he just hired her, and that's why I mixed up the name. But Mr. Duffy in Mr. Dickey, rather, in actual Altoona, Pennsylvania, is stating that they're probably going to fight the extradition of Luigi Mangione to New York. Now, he said that prior to the indictment being announced today. And the indictment was very serious because not only is he being charged with the murder, he's being charged with an aggravating factor that it was a terroristic event. Okay, with a terroristic event, and that makes it very serious. Okay, under Homeland Security rights, there is an actual link there to the video that I just put out of the statements that DA Alvin Bragg did today in regards to the charges. Now, let me get to the exact charges because I want to read them because there was more than one. Now, we don't know if he's going to have to face the charges in Pennsylvania, but he was also caught with the ghost gun in also a silencer or a some other kind of attachment to the gun. They listed it as a silencer in the first reporting, but things have come forward since then that are doubtful. Now, the thing with a ghost gun, in some people are reporting it as a 3D printed gun. Like a ghost gun is a gun that you buy and you get the parts and you put it together. So it's not registered. There's no serial number and it can't be traced. And that in itself is illegal on big terms. There are serious charges in Pennsylvania just for that, let alone giving false information to an officer under the false ID, not representing yourself in, all of that. And then actually being implicated that you might be a fugitive from New York because you just shot somebody and you match the ID. And he got serious issues in Pennsylvania alone. Okay. Now, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg described the killing of Brian Thompson as brazen and targeted, and that act itself was meant to instill fear and draw attention to the healthcare industry, to CEOs, to people making money at the expense of the little guy. And that's what made it a terroristic event. And if you listen to the press conference, okay, they went into great detail, along with the commissioner, Jessica Tisch of New York, the New York Police Department Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, and another person who, I'm sorry, I did not catch her name. They went into great detail to explain why that's a terroristic attack. And if you saw what happened on Twitter in the socials after the shooting of the executive of the healthcare company, you know exactly that was his intent. If Luigi Mangione is the shooter, he did it targeted. He did plan it. He did want that reaction. He wanted people to rise up against the industry because something needed to be done. But murder's never the answer. And this is why the extenuating charges are being added. Okay. A grand jury in Manhattan indicted Mangione on multiple counts: first degree murder, second degree murder, and an act of terrorism. The act of terrorism was intended to intimidate the whole or coerce. In other words, terrorize us into fear or coerce us into action as a civilian population. That was the terroristic intention of the act. That's what they're stating. Okay. Now, Mangione has retained Karen Friedman Agnifilo, as I said. She was a former prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and she's a legal analyst with CNN. Um, and she's his defense attorney now in New York, and she's very well known in the area. She's got a long history of wins, and she's very experienced in high profile cases, and she's expected to lead his defense strategy, whatever it may be. Now, fighting extradition, whether or not we may be. The current status of that is that we're waiting, because this week we do have a hearing on that. I think it's when is he's got an extradition hearing. It's either at the end of this month or it's soon. Actually, it might even be tomorrow. I have to double check. Sorry, guys. Like, there was a lot of information today. But today he was definitely indicted, with the charges here, which we're going to go through for the extradition hearing. And the Pennsylvania defense attorney is thinking of fighting that, but it's going to be up to Luigi Mangione whether or not they do that. Now, I haven't heard the attorney. Oh, the extradition hearing is scheduled for Thursday. Okay, in Blair County, Pennsylvania. Sorry. They're going to determine whether or not he's going to be transferred to New York to face those charges, which are the charges in Pennsylvania are serious, but you have to admit murder in a terrorist act is like kind of trumps it. And usually states will negotiate with each other based on the charges. And now that doesn't mean that Pennsylvania is not going to have him face those charges. They're just going to send you to New York to face those charges first. And they could actually come in later, and after that trial is done, then have a trial on the charges in Pennsylvania. Now, depending on how everything goes and how they fight the extradition or not. Okay, because the defense can put up an argument against it, but I can't see what they can do to not. He was identified. He had the same clothing. He had the same backpack. The gun, there is evidence. The gun had ammunition that was used, that was identified on the scene. Fingerprints had been identified on, I believe it was a power bar in a water bottle at the scene. Okay. They've got the video, although you can't see his face, but you can see the gun, you can see the clothing, what he was wearing, you can see where he went, you can track his movements. Okay. He did actually enter the hostel under the same ID that he had when he was when he was found in Pennsylvania, same ID. So they have enough evidence, I think, um, to actually link them. I don't know how they will fight the extradition. Uh, they can't say it's unwarranted charges. They have enough. They would go forward saying there's not enough evidence for those charges, and they want to fight it. They're going to stay here and face this first. We'll have to see what the judge does. You know. Hmm. But Karen Friedman Agnifilo is married to Mark Agnifilo, who is Shawn Combs, Puff Daddy's attorney. He is the man who's been fighting for his bail. He's the one out there doing a lot of the speeches all the time. Both of the attorneys have in this law firm have a lot of experience with high profile cases. So they've both been involved in some really huge cases. So. All right, I'm gonna go look questions again. Hi, Beck. Mm. That's my whole question in true crime. What is the thought process when the person thinks, you know what will solve the problem? Murder. Like, that's just irrational thinking there. You know, Juju, when I often think of that, I often think that that's the first step to an insanity defense. What about you? Because I don't think that's right thinking at all. How am I going to get out of this problem? Murder. How am I going to draw attention to the wrongs of the world? Murder. How am I going to like get people to organize and fight against the big guy? Murder. No. No, I don't see it that way. How about you, Juju? That confuses me. Okay. That just nope. I don't get it. And I can't help you with that, Juju. I don't have an answer to that question because I haven't figured that out. Why do you think that that's it? Is it is it from frustration? Are they thinking because they're angry and frustrated and they have no other solution, which is never a time to make a decision, especially if you're leaning towards murder? Like, no, you know, no, I'm with you. Murder's never the solution. B is B, and I'm with you. Bear's bearing with you. Like I am, you know, and then the other part of it, that they actually think they're going to get away with it. Now, some of them try real hard and they're real clever. It's fascinating to unravel it. It is. I mean, it's what I do. It's kind of fascinating. It's fascinating to watch the lawyers get into it, the investigators. Like, it is. It's fascinating to watch it all play out as it unravels because it almost always unravels. I mean, look at what's going on right now with the LISK killer, with the Long Island serial killer, all the way back to 1993. He just kept doing it. He just thought he was smarter than everybody else. Look where he is now. Look where he's probably going to stay. Adam Fravel, Madeline Kingsbury's murderer, was sentenced today to life without parole. He tried to do the same. Oh, she wants to leave me. She doesn't want me anymore. I'll solve that problem. Do her in. Nobody will ever find her. I'll put her in a ravine. I'll just tell people I don't know where she is. It didn't work. It unraveled. Life without parole. Murder's never the answer, Juju. I agree. I don't want to understand it, and I do not, and I'm with you. There's no answer to that, you know. I made the stream late today. That's probably why you didn't get a notification. I didn't even schedule it till like 5 o'clock or so. I wasn't sure I would have the energy after all of the stuff that went on today with press hearings in the Adam Fravel sentencing, two different press hearings today, you know. Couch says, it is a vexing question. For me, it's how people think they'll get away with it. When there's so many fields in forensics, there are people that can get you based on plants for well, exactly. Like, I mean, if you watch CSI, you'd swear that the bent blades of grass in a certain way, bent a certain way on a certain day in a certain season, can actually predict who the murderer is. I mean, seriously. Like, remember Grissom in the beginning, Grissom rather, in the beginning being able to tell like the age of something by like how old the insects were or the type of insects, whether the body had been moved or not. It's all fascinating. It's all, I mean, getting into forensic science is like, wow. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm just going to stick to legal documents. That's where the forensic science comes in already figured out. And I just have to read it. You know? Yep. Yeah. Tony says, good luck finding a jury for the Mangione case. There are a lot of people who would say it was justifiable homicide. You know, From the looks of the socials, I can see that, and I absolutely do think there'll be a change of venue, and it's going to be difficult. But there was a lot to be said about it because, like, here's the thing: I understand people are mad about healthcare. I am too. I could rant forever about it and what's wrong in America and how the system is set up, how it leaves out the people who really need it the most, and it's just not fair. But this case alone is also bring up the sword for mental health. What happened to such an educated young man who had everything at his feet? That this was what he thought was the only solution. There's something more going on here. Not only is it going to be difficult to find a jury to convict him based on, if you look at his history and you look what he was capable of, and this is what he chose, everybody's going to be scratching their head wondering what went wrong here. What happened to him? How did he get there? If he was thinking clearly, he never would have did this. I guess it matters how he presents and what he says from this moment forward. And also, there's the rage that people feel when it comes to healthcare here in America. There are not that many satisfied customers. Healthcare makes money. Doctors and patients really aren't anymore. Hospitals are suffering, and everybody wants to like pin it on the doctors, but they have to see 3 times as many patients now to make the same money they made 10 years ago. And it still ain't cutting the bills. And they got all that education they have to pay for, which is another whole big problem in America. But I digress. But I hear you, Tony. It's going to be difficult. This whole case is going to be. Most people are saying, oh, it's a slam dunk. They have so much evidence. No, not necessarily. Because the first thing the defense attorney said was that the type of evidence, which is fingerprints and DNA that they're using, is the most contestable because the sciences are not stable. Where do defense attorneys go every time? The DNA. Questioning the science, questioning the procedures. And they'll get somewhere with it, especially with all the new technologies. Because if they use the new technology, they'll be questioned, is it really good? But if they don't use the new technology, did you use the best? Or you're using some old thing that doesn't have as good a perception on it? You can't win. I think it's more of a motivation of removing a human obstacle. Maybe. But here's the thing. He wasn't a patient of United Healthcare. They didn't deny his claim for his back surgery. A lot of people have made assumptions about that. None of that tracks. He doesn't have United Healthcare. He picked on United Healthcare, if it is that he did, allegedly. It's because they have the 37% rate of denying claims and holding people up and denying treatment, the highest of all of the insurance companies in America. They used to be one of the best. And now they're the worst. So if he did do his research, he went to the worst of the worst and he shot him. But here's the thing. As smart as Luigi Mangione, he had everything going for him. He could be the CEO of one of these insurance companies. He could have put all of that to good to change the system somehow. He has relatives in politics. He has enough money. He had family backing, well known, all over, connections, well educated, brilliant. He could have made a difference. But something went wrong. And I guess, hopefully, in this trial, we're going to find out what that was. My life would be so much easier without you in it. And since I don't want to change my lifestyle, I'm going to remove you instead. I guess he got fixated on him because actually, killing the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, did not solve the issue at all. It made other issues. It made children fatherless. It made a wife a widow. It made a mother bury a son, a father bury a son. You know, I just don't. There are other ways to make people non existent in your life. Walk away. I don't know why he became so obsessed that he thought this was a solution. I don't. But I hope I wonder what's gonna happen in the trial. I do. Hmm. True that, but how many people get away with it? I kind of agree with Juju here. More than I care to think about, Charlie. Too many. Technicalities, bad lawyers, mistakes, evidence mistakes, people jumping the gun, people not doing sloppy work, people not following procedure, bad laws. It happens. Too many get away with it. Even covering up evidence is evidence. It boggles exactly, and they find it, right? Or we could talk about James Tolliver Craig, the dentist, right? Who from jail just started to commit other crimes to try to get out of the crime. It's mind-boggling where their minds go. It's absolute insanity that they think they're going to get away with it. But just like that, it's one of the things I love about it. Just having my mind all twisted over that stuff. Same thing, Juju. What went wrong was CEOs putting profits above human life, which is what capitalism does in general, which is what our country is pretty much based it on. So it I get the point, and it's valid. It's very valid. It seems like they forget that they're dealing with human lives, humans that are in pain, need treatment, that they could make a difference. One of the things that Mangione wrote was like, how do we have the best healthcare supposedly in the world, and yet we have such a low mortality rate? That people die so young here. People aren't getting the help. They're not getting what they need. The healthcare system itself doesn't care about them, or it has no means to do it. Too many roadblocks. Which comment is that, Liam? I don't see your comment. I don't see anything held either. Usually, oh, I see it over here. It's not okay. I could read it. The shooting may have brought issues to light, but there's no way it even tangentially associated with a solution to the problem with health insurance. Exactly. It did nothing. All it needs is for a jury to decide that a normal person would do the same. This is true, reasonable doubt. And I wonder, when presented with the other side of the argument, like, why did he do it? Which is the big question. If presented appropriately by the defense in Luigi Mangione himself, absolutely, you could get a jury to say, would I do that? I could understand that frustration. But let me switch it from healthcare to a murdered child. When a family member takes justice into their own hands and kills the offender. Juries are torn about that. On the one hand, it's against the law. Two wrongs don't make a right. No matter how mad you are, if you commit murder, you're a murderer. In committing murder is against the law. What is the justification for murder? In our justice system, an eye for an eye doesn't exist. No. In our justice system, two wrongs don't make a right. There are mitigating factors for sentencing. There are aggravating factors for sentencing. But the law's the law. You kill someone, it's illegal. It's illegal in different degrees. You could kill someone accidentally, but if you kill someone on purpose, no matter what the reason is, you got to jump through some hoops to get away with it. Now, there are some ways. Um, there is the stand your ground law in Florida. If somebody breaks into your house and does something and comes like them and you just shoot them, whether it be one time or 20 times, you're probably going to get away with murder. But then again, there's self-defense, right? Mhm. There's no self-defense in shooting someone in the back who's walking down the street. There's no self-defense in being so irrational because his claims were denied and he's in pain every day and it didn't help him. How does he tie that to United Healthcare? They didn't do it. It happens to other people, which is one of his points. But I think the connection of trying to get the jury to relate to him is going to be a little more difficult than I could see myself doing that. We're all enraged about the healthcare system, but how many of us could see ourselves doing what he did? Because it doesn't solve anything. And he just ruined his life. I mean, Luigi Mangione is going to be known for this no matter what, good or bad. I get how people are feeling. Come on, all of us, even though we know murder is wrong, when they said it was a healthcare official, an executive shot down in the street, were not the couple of jokes come to mind? Like, gosh, I hope they pay his ambulance bill. I hope the ER isn't overcrowded. Now, what's his insurance? Hope he had that card in his wallet. Come on. The jokes were everywhere. I'm guilty. I probably said one or two myself. I still think murder's wrong. I still wouldn't be able to put myself in his shoes and pull that trigger. And I think when you actually agree to be on a jury and they talk to you about the law and how you have to look at just the law, not emotionally, well, some emotion comes into it because we're all human. But I'm going to try to do my job. And I hope that most people did step up for jury duty would do the same. So I do see that they will convict him for what he did because I can't really see in my mind a valid reason. One that would justify the taking of another life, especially when it didn't solve anything. Nothing. And now that they added the terroristic threat of what he meant to do with it, the sentence is going to be even more aggravated. But there's no death penalty here in New York. I saw a headline that said, I had everyone concerned for CEOs across the board. I had to laugh at that. I did too. They did say that in the press conference today too, that they were talking to everyone that was concerned and all, and that they were trying to protect people. And I'm like, well, how about not do hateful things to people? And it is the first thing I thought. So I resonate with what you guys are saying. I do, you know. Exactly. How many of the claims did they reject resulted in families burying loved ones? Believe me, I get the sentiment. Tony, I'm not against the sentiment at all, honestly. Like, point made. I think we all get it. That's why people are making the jokes. It's going to be a tough case. I don't want to be on that jury. It's going to be hard. I do want to know what he thought would change by what he did, you know? And I do want the law followed. The last thing I want is exception to be made because it was a healthcare official and we're all upset about healthcare. Do you really think it's right to just disregard the law because of what those other people did? Because of what the healthcare officials did or the healthcare industry? Does that mean we get to be like them and disregard human life? Not treat people like humans? Forget about their rights? See, that's where I have to draw the line. And I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just putting all the side of it there. I get the anger and the frustration. I really do. Believe me, chronic pain patient here. Totally get the failure of the whole health system. I've been in the system for all my life. And it's failed me repeatedly. I still think the law should be obeyed. And let's be honest. If I had that gun, I'd be shooting him in the thigh, somewhere really painful, and make him suffer to go through the healthcare system like we do. To me, that would be better revenge. Taking his life was the easy way. He didn't suffer. Now, if you want to talk about the suffering that they're putting on other people, that's a whole different thing, right? Yeah, I think it will. I think it brought to light how easy it is to build your own gun, your own ghost gun, using 3D printing. It's kind of expensive, but you can't do it all with 3D printing, from what I understand. You do have to buy parts, and it is illegal to put them all together and not have that gun registered. It is a violation of the laws there, and I do see something happening there, Tony, and I'll be watching it. Yeah. And here's the thing, they didn't put that on the charges. They did the terroristic thing, but they didn't put the amended gunshot, because in New York, you get aggravated offenses for using a gun, a deadly weapon, especially an illegal one. But they didn't do that. I don't know if they're in a hurry or they didn't want to go through all of the what you and I would find interesting about the law back and forth about it in the courtroom. Perhaps the DA didn't want to deal with it. You know, he just wants a slam dunk. Was that one that I read the comment? The one about the justification? Hold on, because I'll let me just see if it's here. Oh, this one, Liam. What is the justification by upholding rules which will decide who gets to survive? How equivalent is withholding the means of saving a life to acting to end one? Well, here's the thing. That's what we have to focus on. Will it change things in the healthcare industry? Will the fear of getting shot in the back, knowing that the American people are this angry at you, will that actually force them into doing some things right? I don't know. But I'd like to see that. When you talk about a terroristic threat, if they feel that terrorized by the fact that someone upset about the healthcare situation in America could just walk up to a CEO and shoot him dead, and that the social media applauded it, cheered it, said, damn straight, I'd do the same. And lots of people did. We all laughed a little bit. We made a joke. We were like, damn straight, oh, well. And then we remember the family and that he's human. But at first, the anger over the situation in healthcare, that was first. So, yeah, maybe it will change something. I don't know about the gun laws, but I damn well am hoping it wakes up some people in the industry of healthcare. It it'll either cause CEOs to start to respect the consumer, which is doubtful, I agree, or drive them to feel justified in taking advantage of them. Yeah, I mean, if you read the room and realized you're the most hated people in America right now, yeah, maybe they will feel justified because they're doing their job. They'll just look at us all like we don't matter. We're just jealous that we don't got it like that. You know how it goes, right? But I'm hoping some change happens, whether in legislation about limits on profits, which would be nice. We all talk about not having too many rules in America, but then again, we have all these rules because people don't do the right thing. I'm all for people making profit, but profit when you're killing people? That's crazy. I don't care about your yacht, or anything else. When you're making that much money and just not giving back, there's a problem. You need to be legislated, period. It is sad altogether, Mrs. C. I get it. Oh, I read that one. Hopefully, it will result in legislation to regulate health insurance companies and maybe gun ownership as well. Hallelujah to that, Tony. I aim. You know what? That would be perfect. And I actually hope even any nudge towards any of that would be a good thing. And we should all look for it and talk about it if we see it. You know, let's let's focus on that. Let's focus on that. Let's hope it does, because this is going to be a very high profile case. That would be a very good outcome. Oh, now if he had injected nanobots filled with disease and message, oh my gosh, he's oh, did Juju just go Black Mirror on me? You did not. You did not. Oh my god. But you're right. That would be like, yes, that would be espionage. That would be like, to be called a traitor, a terrorist, and like, yeah, totally different. Hey, remember how the US is supposed to be allowed to have guns so that powerful people can be kept in check? And that's the entire reason that people have continued to justify barely any gun laws. How's that working out? Well, there you go. Now they're not so sure that that was a good idea, are they? Because the powerful people are the ones getting shot at. Yeah, yeah, I get it. Uh, don't be sorry because it was snippy, because I'm sure all of us have thought something very similar. And this is a no judgment zone. I get it. I totally get it. Because that's what they say. Second Amendment. Don't take my guns. I need them to protect me because you guys aren't really protecting me. What if you guys all go crazy and I have to protect myself? Well, now the world is crazy and we all have to protect ourselves. But the people protecting themselves are actually going out there like Rambo. That's not a good thing. Well, he did. Unfortunately, they're going to try to turn it, aren't they? They already have. They're calling him a terrorist. Okay. They're rambling about how he took the life of a single person, and that's so wrong, so wrong. And I want to disregard the issue he was trying to shine a light on. Maybe this trial is what he will use to shine that light even brighter. I'd like to see what his defense attorney has up her sleeve. I guess we have to wait and see, Tony. That's the problem, Liam. Luigi Mangione could pay for his insurance, didn't get stuck with a bill, got good quality health care. He may have had a problem with it, but I can't see um anything that happened with there's no lawsuit against the surgeon, there's nothing, you know. Luigi Mangione is a little more privileged than most Americans. He comes from a really good family with money, with a guaranteed income. He had a good job in Hawaii. He could travel around freely. He had a great education. He was smart. He's not horrible looking, you know. Uh, he was doing fine, but something wasn't. Now I want to see his healthcare records. They're private. I bet he didn't need referral. I bet he didn't either. Doing the right thing because they're in fear doesn't make them right. Exactly. I want them to do the right thing because it's the right thing. I do want to see some change. As Mao Zedong said, only change only comes through the barrel of a gun. Oh, so that was Mao Zedong. He said change only comes through the barrel of a gun. I wonder if that's what Luigi Mangione was reading. I remember Juju. She said, "Remember when the CEO of Chipotle or Quibo or whatever it is, yeah, raised the prices because people wanted the workers to make a living wage." Exactly, and penalized everybody for organizing. Yep. Juju's inciting riot. We want revolt with knives and bayonets. We're Americans for F's sake. Yes, we are. They called Robin Hood an outlaw, but he's still seen as a hero to the working classes. Yes. And that's what's fascinating about these. There is so much to discuss in the whole case itself, it's not just a murder, is it? This is actually a social event, a societal event. It's climatic. It's things are coming to a hit. This could be one of the episodes that makes that turning event, when just things boil over. Me too, couch. And we're often disappointed, but we can hope. We can hope. It's definitely going to be a big one, Mrs. Cassandra. It's definitely going to be a big one. But on that, I'm 3 minutes before 2 hours. And if you guys are okay, no more questions. I do appreciate all of your interaction back and forth and the great conversation. There's so much to talk about all three of these cases. Please hit the comments. Anything you want to ask me. There are things I do need to research. I realize that, and to get ready for our next conversation. But please bring them to me. They're all welcome. There's no right or wrong in a conversation. There's just two sides, right? So I want to have them, even about these messy kind of cases. Okay, is feel free, definitely. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and get on the back of those comments, because that is one of the best parts of my day. I'm gonna give you a little insight into me. I do check the comments every day, and I want to interact with each of you. And I like to hear where you're coming from on this. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight, very much. And if it's okay with you guys, this is how I want to do Tuesday nights, in conversation style, and leave all the detailed presentations to the videos now that we have the beast. So those of you that are in my little circle of murder minions that are here all the time, please weigh in and let me know what you prefer. Hey, Mousy, thank you. Super sticker of a 100%. Yep. Thank you, Charlie, for the conversation. Thank you all. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of you who hit the replay later. All of you on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter. Don't forget to let me know what other cases you're interested in. I could or could not be following them in, but I love these twists, and I'll definitely be talking to you all soon again.